and why people like TikTok so much, one of the reasons, A, aside from it being very addicting, B, the algorithm feeds you videos they curated just for you. So your For You page is different than X or Y or Z or your friend's For You page. I'm curious, how exactly will the algorithm change here? Because this joint venture announced it will retrain, test, and update the algorithm.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I actually think that's the most important issue here. And I think it will need to be retrained on whether it's American content or other models. And I think from the initial reports that I'm seeing from users, there's been electrical outages, there's been all sorts of stuff that's going wrong with the app actually in the transition. And view counts have gone down to zero in some cases. And people are starting to see content that's wholly irrelevant to what they want to see. So you hope over time, as it gets retrained, it becomes more relevant, basically. There's also, by the way, this lawsuit that was just announced that they settled today in terms of the addictive aspects of some of these algorithms. So I think there's going to be a whole lot of change in front of not just TikTok, but some of these other entities in terms of how the markets look at these algorithms. Um, I've always been a big fan of what I'd call moderation, meaning that I think there should be some human editors and human interfaces in there looking at every one of these things to see not just if the content's relevant, but it's not harmful. I'm a big believer in that. And so I'm hopeful that that'll be part of at least the American operation going forward, along with the new algorithm.
Do you think that that lawsuit and that settlement there will play a role here at all? Because when you're on social media, I mean, you can just be scrolling and not realize an hour or two goes by, just the addictive nature of that. Do you think that they will then have to make an effort to make their apps, make their algorithm perhaps less addictive?
I hope so. I mean, I hope that whether it's Section 230 that's been, gotten a lot of congressional attention here in the US, a lot of media attention, or it's just human management of these algorithms, they've obviously had very bad consequences. And I think it's fair to say that all the tech titans have really struggled with their responses to it, basically. And so, yeah, I hope that a new algorithm, as well as renewed attention to moderation in Section 230, makes these places safer, particularly for younger people, basically. So I do hope so. I don't know if it will, but I hope so.
Fingers crossed. I hope so as well, too. And I think we can all hope for that. But let's say I didn't watch this conversation between you and I. I'm someone who didn't see the headlines of TikTok having a new deal with the United States. There's a new US entity. If I'm the average TikTok user, will I notice a difference? Do you think, or do you think that it's too early to tell? That still remains to be seen.
I would hope that they don't, because the more transparent it is, the better it'll be for users, basically. It's definitely going to be different in my view, because if they're really going to retrain the algorithm and they're spinning it off, it will look different, basically. So, I would hope that would be the case. And I think if it isn't the case and it winds up being something that I don't know, is whitewashed or too moderated for people, then you might see competitors coming in and washing them away. I worked for an app years ago called America Online that at the time was like the coolest thing that brought America onto the internet, and it got washed away by different competitive forces. It wasn't that we were doing things wrong; it just happened that others came in and took the space. And so I would, I don't know if that'll happen here, but my view is that these things should, be subject to market forces, and hopefully different generations will either adopt it or you'll see better things come along that, that take the place of it.